structure is more than 71 years old. The residents here have christened it Fort Jesus. That's because Ngara's estate's Fort Jesus symbolizes the old era, a time in Kenya's history where segregated housing was the norm, but most importantly because this still stands as a hallmark of decades of history that this estate represents. Fort Jesus is located just a few meters from these housing units. Both structures come together to make up what is known as the Old Ngara Estate. This section of Old Ngara comprises of 2 and 3 bedroom houses that form what residents here call the Softies Estate. That's because when it was constructed back in 1945, it was meant for families only. Fort Jesus, which solely comprises of 1-bedroom housing units, was intended for bachelors and bachelorettes. All housing units were, however, designated for the Asian community, many of whom at the time worked for the Nairobi City Commission as clerks, accountants, and railway contractors. We have been able to trace one of the original occupants of these houses.
Yes.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
Fine.
Rashida Adamali's family were the first to relocate to a house here in 1945, immediately after construction of the houses was complete.
Tell me if I'm wrong. I'm told you are the only remaining original tenants of these houses. How true is that?
Yes, we are 2 of us, two Asian families staying now. Before, in the 1940s, the whole of this estate was owned by Asians, but most of them have left now, and it's only about 10% like Asians, and the rest are all locally owned by local people.
All right. So I'm assuming this is the kitchen area, right?
Yes,
and
it
it's
is.
pretty much the same as how it was when it was constructed.
Well, I guess it is pretty much the same. It's only this that we built this shelf, which was not there, but the rest is almost the same.
Being a neighborhood mainly designated for mostly immigrant Indians who had come into the country during the construction of the Kenya-Uganda railway line, Old Ngara Estate carries with it the Asian architecture characteristic of the time.
How many bedrooms is this particular house?
Okay, this is a 3-bedroom house.
Okay.
And we are the oldest tenants here in this estate. My in-laws came in the 1940s. These are my mother-in-law and father-in-law's photographs. They came here 1946.
46?
Yes.
Wow. So they're the original tenants?
The original tenants.
The first occupants?
The first occupants.
And the house has remained in their family that long, up to
that
now?
long, yes. That's about nearly 70 years.
Oh, wow. Wow.
And I'll show you some of the receipts here. We have of the 1940s that we have. See?
These are the rent receipts,
The rent
I
receipts
believe.
of 1946, 49.
How much was rent at that time?
The rent used to be 160 shillings.
160?
Yes.
And
Can you
you've kept
imagine?
these all that time?
We've kept them here for that long. And it's a kind of a memory for us, I should say, to keep these old receipts.
The receipts, some dated as far back as 1949, even have the old stamps attached to them. Has lived on in the family of Rashida Adamali that dates back to a time when her father-in-law worked at the Nairobi City Commission.
So your family has been here almost 70 years?
Yes.
Plus, so it's a legacy of some sorts. In one house, 70 years is no joke. So
It's no joke.
do you plan on continuing this legacy? Do you
Yes.
plan on moving out?
No, we plan on just continuing the legacy for as long as we can. And we are very comfortable living here a decade. Can you imagine? It's like home to us. We have wonderful neighbors here. We have, very good security. This is actually the backyard. We used to grow. There used to be a garden here, But now at the moment, I think it's, all that has been sort of, demolished kind of. And we have grass at the moment, and we have our neighbors growing some maize and all here.
When did, because you've lived here a very long time, when did Ngara begin to change for you as a resident? When was the radical and drastic change begin?
The drastic change began after the colonial era was over. And then it's like after 1960s and all, when the independence started, is when things started to change. And as you can see, this place, how the kiosks have been built here, and it's become very messy. It used to be one of the most beautiful areas, actually, in the whole of Nairobi. But at the moment, nothing can be done, I guess.
Back then, the houses here even had delegated zones where trash would be disposed for either discarding or recycling.
In fact, this area was the cleanest Ngara area, There used to be a beautiful river overflowing, but now the hawkers have come and messed up everything. During the colonial times, the council inspector used to come and check the houses, and they used to repair them, all that. Now you'll find nobody comes here to even check and find out if they have any problems.
The neglect concerns raised by the residents of Old Ngara are indeed replicated when you visit the new Ngara estate just meters away. New Ngara estate was constructed in 1958, 13 years after construction of the Old Ngara estate. The houses comprise of 17 housing blocks, each with 8 housing units, totaling to 136 housing units combined. Anyone move out of the neighborhood.
Life here has been so good. You're one of the safest estates within this area. Ngara as a whole, na tuseme Starehe constituency as a whole, very safe. Ingawa tuko in CBD, lakini it is a very safe place. Yeah. Challenges are the security. Hatujaziona.
It's a sentiment shared by Virginia Kang'ethe, who has been a resident of the estate since March 1974. She has raised her family here alongside many other former
hivyo. Mbona yesa kuna ndani kwa hiyo?
Najua watu wakipata nyumba ya kajo, it is cheap. Na ukiwa unalipa regularly, hakuna vile mtasubuana na city council. Na tena rent ya kajo ni fair. Na ndio unaona watu wengi wamestiki kwa kulipa kwa nyumba za kajo.
Joseph and Virginia represent the older generation of tenants who peaceful.
Hapa ni mahali ambapo kila mtu anaweza kupendelea kuishi. Kwa maana unatembea tu kwenda town na kurudi. Kunyeshe, kusinyeshe, kama wataka kutembea utatembea. Kwa maana utapandia matatu wapi na ushukie wapi. Tayari tuko ndani ya town.
And perhaps it's for that reason that Ngara is now slowly being known more for its commercial establishments rather than its residential houses, even though its economic viability may now be in serious jeopardy.
Ya kitambo ilikuwa mzuri juu hata tulikuwa tunafanya kazi hadi overtime kitu saa 3 tuko tu chini ya gari, lakini saa hii tunaanza tunakuja morning Tunaanza kutembea saa 9 ukirudi kwa nyumba.
It has been so far so good, but lately since about 2 to 3 years it is slowing down.